through it. Before I start my daily routine, answer any questions you guys have. And let's see, what do we have here in the question bag? What questions do we have? And you are more than welcome to ask any questions as well. I go live pretty much every day. Also, my email and my phone numbers are included on the web pages, so you feel free to ask any questions. I'm just going to go through here and see what kind of questions have popped up online recently. In search of new life insurance policy, term or whole life, $350,000. Well, there's a question mark there. My recommendation, if you're looking for a large amount of coverage for a little bit of a month, I would go with the term. That'll last you for a certain period of time, obviously, like 20 years or 30 years. If you're looking for a whole life policy, that same whole life policy will be several hundred, if not $1,000 per month. So I would kind of look at that, like what your budget is. I would go with the term policy because you can get it for, depending on your age, like $40, $50 a month. The whole life policy would be probably $700, $800 a month. You can invest that difference yourself, if you're comfortable with that. And it would provide the large amount of coverage for the 20 to 30 years. So I would not invest in a $350,000 whole life policy personally. I think you would make more money if you took the difference between the term and the whole life and invested it yourself. So, and a lot of insurance agents will talk about the investment aspect of the whole life policy, and it's true, there is an investment component to it. It does build up cash value, but it's really, really slow. It's the first 3 years you're paying for the commissions and you're paying for the insurance company. So I don't think that's a good investment. The first 3 years you get zero cash value. And then when you do get cash value, it builds up at a very slow rate. It's not a fast build by any means. For example, if you had a $350,000 whole life policy, and let's say you're paying $600 a month, and that might be low for that amount, then over the course of 3 years where you're paying into it and you don't build any cash value, your total, you would spend, what is that, $7,200, around $21,000 before you saw any kind of cash value build. So I would go with the term policy, and that way you can invest the difference, and and at least after the first 3 years, you would already have $21,000 set aside just from the difference, right? So, all right, this is a question about your policy lapsing. Your policy, life insurance companies give you a 30-day grace period, so if you miss a payment, so you can call them within 30 days and pay that. The best thing to do is not to let your policy lapse if that's possible. The way to do that is to always use your checking account as opposed to a credit card or direct express card. Let's see. What else do we have here? Anybody have Globe Life Insurance? Yeah, there are several people that have Globe Life Insurance. There's a few things that I dislike about it. I think one of the biggest things that I dislike about Globe personally is the fact that they have a product that is a renewable term policy, which means that for the first year, the prices are set at a certain rate, and then after the first year they increase, and then every 5 years they increase, and then they cancel at 50 or at 80. I'm sorry, still early, but the policy cancels once you turn 80, and that's not necessarily bad. I mean, that's the type of policy that's structured. My problem comes into play whenever it looks like it's a whole life policy, right? So if you're looking for a whole life policy, let's say you're looking for $50,000, you shop around from 10 to 12 whole life insurance companies. You get the prices, and they're pretty much the same, maybe $15 or $20 difference on the extreme. And then all of a sudden you go to Globe Life, and the price is about 40 to 50% less. So you think you found like this awesome deal, you found this fantastic deal that no one knows about, that they're the best company of all time, until you realize that it's not a whole life insurance policy. It is in fact a term policy. And not only is it a term policy, it's a renewable term policy, meaning that it's going to renew in 1 year, meaning the price is going to be adjusted based on your new age, and then it's going to renew every 5 years. So this policy just keeps getting more expensive until people end up canceling it. And I think most people who get this policy, they don't know what it is. They just think that they're getting a really great deal on whole life insurance, and that's not true. So if you do go with Globe, make sure you do it through an agent and make sure that you are actually getting a whole life insurance policy as opposed to their flagship product, which is that renewable term. So let's see. Who has life insurance? Do you prefer term or whole life, and why? Well, I have life insurance. I have a term policy just because I'm 48 years old. If something happens to me, I want my family to be able to get the income that I currently make, and that's why I have a term policy. As far as a whole life policy, I think they're best suited for people who are looking to cover the cost of a burial or cremation. Let's see. This person says life insurance is so important. People don't realize how much we need it at all times. You do have to make it a priority. I agree. I do agree, Sarah. I think the fact that the reason why most people don't have life insurance is the fact they never think about the financial impact of themselves dying with their family. If people thought about the financial impact that they would have if they were to leave this world, then every parent would have a life insurance policy. Let's see, this person writes, how much life insurance do you think a $100,000 income needs? If you go on the basic mathematics, it's 10 to 12 times your annual income, so $1 million to 1.2 million. I would get a price for that to see where you land in that price range. And if that's too high, then I would start with something smaller, maybe like covering all the debt, like the mortgage, the funeral, like any credit card, any consumer debt. Make sure you have a policy that will cover at least all of that. And usually if that's taken care of, then the family's going to be fairly decent afterwards. But yeah, usually it's 10 to 12 times. So $1 million to 1.2 million. And if you're 35 or younger, that's going to be fairly inexpensive. If you're 35 to 45, it's still going to be relatively inexpensive. I think it's that level of coverage really starts to go up in price once you hit the 50, 55 year mark. If you're looking for a term policy, that's where the prices kind of start to go up. And that's also the time in your life where you're going to be diagnosed with certain things. Like after you're 45 or 50, you start going to the doctors more frequently. They start diagnosing you with stuff like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, maybe you're pre-diabetic, stuff like that. So once you start going to the doctor, their job is to find stuff they do. So that's why, I recommend getting a policy between the ages of 35 and 45, and then have that policy last all the way until 65. So, but if you are over 45 and you don't have a policy, you could always check and see what that would cost. If you're in relatively good health, it's still going to be inexpensive, and you'll be able to get a lot of coverage for your family. Who has the best life insurance policies? Any suggestions? Sure. For term, it's obviously my favorite is Banner Term. They are, in my opinion, the best life insurance company for term life. Been around since 1836, so all the way back almost 200 years. Now, as far as a whole life policy, my recommendation, if you're relatively healthy, like the only thing you have going on is like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, and controlled diabetes, where there's no neuropathy or any amputations, my recommendation would be to go to Mutual of Omaha. Now, if you have conditions other than that, then your best option, and this sounds like a sales pitch, but the best option is to work with a broker, just because they've got access to more carriers. There's 737 different carriers in the United States. Each one of them treat different conditions in different ways. So, once you start to take a lot of medications or you get diagnosed with a lot of stuff, it's best to work with someone who has access to all of the top-rated carriers. So be careful when you're doing that too. Don't put your information online or put yourself in a position to get spammed nonstop. All right, this person wrote they contacted Mutual of Omaha for a $25,000 insurance quotes, $158 a month. Yeah, Mutual of Omaha is not the cheapest, but they're not the most expensive either. So based on the $158 a month, you are a female. I would imagine that you are probably in your late 60s. I would say that's probably where that price comes into play, or if not a little older. Women, I think once they turn 65, they get still a really good price for $25,000 of whole life. So she's probably maybe actually in her 70s when she's looking. So it's always better to look when you're younger. If you wait until you're older, then I probably wouldn't go straight for the 25,000. I would go with something that's going to take care of what needs to be taken care of, like the burial or cremation. Find out what the price is for that, and then increase the coverage amount if it is comfortable. What are some good life insurance and final expense policies? Like I said, my favorite is Mutual of Omaha. I think they're the best. Lincoln Heritage is more expensive than a lot of them, but they are a really good company. Let's see, Corebridge, AIG, those are good companies. True Stage. True Stage is not a bad company either. I think you can go directly to True Stage, or you can go through the Ethos system. Just be careful with the Ethos system. If you make sure you like the price that you get before you start the application, because if you start the application and you don't finish it, they will that information that you looked for life insurance will find its way to other people, if you kind of pick up on what I'm saying. What is life insurance pays triple if you die on a business trip? Not all life insurance. No, that's through work. Yeah, a lot of work companies have this rider where if you die during a business trip, it pays triple. Let's see, somebody says y'all buying body parts before you're buying insurance. Yeah, no one thinks about life insurance. That's why half the people don't have it. No one thinks about it. Good suggestions in some of those whole life insurance companies because one. All right, here we go. I need a suggestion, a good whole life insurance company, because the one I had for a few years, it cheated me out of my money. Yeah, it sounds like the agent didn't do it properly, or didn't explain everything properly, or maybe misled you in some way. So be careful with who you work with, and always read the fine print, please. People quick to say life insurance to their job. Okay. Who do I recommend for life insurance between the ages of 40 and 50? That's not a, well, it depends, right? Like if you're 40 to 50, you're still in relatively good health, and you have a lot of expenses or a lot of things you have to take care of, like a mortgage, family, stuff like that. You're going to need a term policy just because it has a much higher coverage amount and a much lower cost. So if that's the case, if you're between 40 and 50, I would go with Banner Term if you do need that large amount of coverage. If you're looking for a whole life insurance policy, I would probably go with, I definitely would go with Mutual of Omaha for that. If you're looking for something small, like $25,000, $50,000 at that age, that's who I would go with. If you get serious health conditions, that would be another company that I would recommend would be Mutual of Omaha does have a guaranteed issue. Also, Corebridge has got one. Anyone use life insurance company to help pay for debt? No, they do not, in fact. I think this might be in reference to some of those TikTok commercials you see for IULs or something like that. It's an investment account with a life insurance component, right? That's what it is. So if you get like a $250,000 IUL, then you have a $250,000 policy, a life insurance policy with an investment account. And for the investment account, you're going to be paying several $100s a month. For the first 3 years, you're not going to see anything returned. It's all going to go for the agent's commission. It's going to go for the insurance company. After the third year, yeah, cash value will build. It's based on the market. So I think the most money you can get, if the market goes up 15%, you get 10%. If the market drops 15%, you don't lose any money. But that's after the first 3 years. If you want to take money out, I think there's a heavy penalty in the first 7 years, where if you want to withdraw your money. So there's a lot of things you need to consider before you get into an IUL. It's not one of those one-call purchases, in my opinion. I think you should really You should really get the illustrations from the life insurance agent. Make sure the life insurance agent is someone you trust before they set up something like that. Also, with an IUL, my personal recommendation would be it's designed as an ancillary investment. So you want to make sure your 401k is good, your Roth is good, you're maxing out the contributions to that. Maybe you even have an investment account to the side. And then I would, if you were serious about an IUL and you knew all the pros and the cons of it, then I would do it after that. Typically, these are for, in my opinion, for people who are making around $250 plus, 250,000 plus a year. And my goal is to get more people life insurance, so that's why I go with a term as opposed to an IUL. Most people can afford a $40 or $50 term policy, but a $500 or $600 IUL policy, that's inaccessible for a lot of people. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? I'm sorry I didn't get life insurance until 30. Either you're going to donate or not. Okay, yeah, that's well, it really isn't about the age, I don't think, as far as life insurance. It's about the need, right? Everybody doesn't necessarily need it, right? Like if you're 25 or 25 years old, you're single, there are no kids, there's no mortgage, nothing like that. As long as your parents are able to cover like whatever expenses are going to be left behind, that's fine. I don't think you need it. If you're working at that age and you still have no kids, no mortgage, nothing like that, and you have a work policy, that should be more than sufficient to cover any costs that would arise in the event of your death. So I don't think that everybody needs it. Like if you had kids, though, I think that would be an absolute must. That would be where you absolutely have to get it. In my opinion, that's not a should, that is a must. All right, well, I think that is all of the questions as of to this morning. Let's see. I'm trying to find some more here. And a lot of this is just, I think a lot of this is just life insurance agents trying to advertise too, right? They'll put their business card everywhere. It's just, I'm not sure. Oh, hey, Mr. Maverick. This is my dog, Maverick. He is hanging out with me here this morning. We are minutes away from our walk. And hopefully it'll be a good day. No one hopped on, but I think this was a good session here. So a lot of questions were answered there. And if you do have any questions or you would like to talk with someone about life insurance and you don't want to get spammed, harassed, lied to, or anything like that, pressured, I don't know, like it seems to be the standard thing in the industry, but like if you need any assistance, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you or point you in a direction where you can receive said help. But until later, I think I'm going to get live a little bit later today after the walks. Maybe I'll go live between my calls to see if there's anyone out there looking for life insurance. I am fairly new to this whole online thing, so I'm not sure how to get the audience or find the people that I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who actually want help with life insurance and they don't want to be lied to or pressured or sold something that they don't want, need, or understand. I'm not sure if my strategy is working. I think the best strategy to attract people is to lie to them. Like from what I've seen online, it's just like constant lie after constant lie. Like all the advertisements, or nearly all of them, are just some variation of a lie. And I don't think that does anyone any good. But we'll see. I am going to keep it legit and honest. And if you have any questions, like I said, feel free to reach out to me. And I'm going to end this.